Hey, everybody, welcome to Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside. And this week, it's going to be an audio version of the podcast. It's Eddie, it's me, no Kevin. I am on the road. Kevin is back in LA coughing. I talked to him on the phone today, and he just was coughing. And I feel like I shouldn't leave Kevin alone in Los Angeles. Even though he's married, he's got people looking after him. I feel like I know him so well that when you have a friend and you know that they just don't take care of themselves without your supervision. Anyway, he's not sick. He claims he was just sleeping and he woke up, and that's when I called him. And sometimes when you wake up, the post-nasal drip, and I said, "Shut up, Kevin. I don't want to hear all this shit." And so anyway, welcome. So welcome to an audio podcast of just me giving you a recap. I am here in Forest Hill, Queens. That's why me and Kevin aren't doing one. I was supposedly going to try to interview Colin Quinn, because I did 2 shows in Brooklyn, 1 in Manhattan, and 1 in Queens. I did Union Hall, 2 shows. Friday, I did a show Friday and a show Sunday in Union Hall, and I did a show in Manhattan for Don't Tell, and I just did a show in Astoria at the Grove 34 Comedy Club, and it's been an amazing trip for me, because when I go back to New York, it is just me going back and seeing a lot of friends and seeing a lot of people from different parts of my life. You know how when you have different friends from different parts of your life, like, oh, this guy was a guy that I used to, install bathrooms with. I mean, that just popped into my head. I never installed a bathroom. I don't even know what it means to install a bathroom. I mean, but refurbished homes with, or, that guy I know from my improv days. This guy I know because I accidentally hit him with my car and we became good friends. All the kinds of ways that you meet people. This guy, this gal I threatened online, and she came just to get photos of me for the police report. However you meet different people, that's so it's always really nice to come back to New York, and it does really feel like home to me. I love so many of the people in LA. I'm not crazy about living there anymore. Fires, drought. Being a little sick of fucking Hollywood, like the constant, reaching for fame, fame. And it's like a one industry town, Los Angeles, it's like, whereas New York, there is a big, showbiz component of New York, like a very kind of, how would I say it? Like, it's more of a theater town than a film town, for sure. And there's something uppity about the theater, but there's also something so cool about the theater. By the way, did you guys know that Bill Burr, Michael McKean, Kieran Culkin, and Bob Odenkirk are doing Glengarry Glen Ross, the play, in Manhattan. In March, I think previews begin. Oh, God, I was just thinking, Burr and Odenkirk and Michael McKean. I don't know Culkin. I know who he is, of course. But anyway, oh, God, I just want to see that. And I also want Bill Burr's career. He's become a movie guy and now theater guy. God, I would give anything to like be in a high profile New York play, and a play like Glengarry, written by David Mamet when he was sane. Now he's become kind of, I don't know, a right wing. I think he's a right-wing dipshit. Politics right now, these days, are so... Oh, hold on. Somebody's calling me. Yeah? Oh, it's my cousin Fred.
Ed, what are you doing?
Hey, Fred, I'm actually in the middle of a podcast.
Oh, you're one of those podcasters, huh? I've heard a lot about podcasts. You know, me and the wife used to listen to one about how to build things.
Oh, how to build things? Like you mean like an NPR one? Well, what did you learn how to build?
First of all, it wasn't NPR, and I don't like, I don't like that implication that, I'm an NPR person. You know, I hope we can put that to bed. You know, you always kind of say that I'm an NPR person, but I'm not. You know, and I wish you would stop saying that.
Tell me, what was the... by the way, I have to get back to talking to, my listeners.
Oh, you got listeners?
Yes. So, well, we've got a couple. Max, there is, and Brendan, and Clark. There's a few, and they're all very cool. The Crimmins, Jeb and Joanne.
Oh, wow, you know your fans by name?
Yeah. I mean, that's the benefit to having a very niche audience.
Oh, God. Anyway, the podcast that I used to listen to with the wife before she ran off, you know.
I'm sorry, Joanne ran off. Why didn't I hear about that?
I kept it under the rug, you know. She started taking night school classes, and she started asking questions about, indigenous people and the where capitalism falls short of humanity. And I knew our days were numbered once she started asking those questions. And she also got into robots, you know.
Robots? Joanne got into robots?
Yeah, she did. She started, that was the podcast we were listening to, How to Build Your Own Robot, and the host was Neil Tyson, whatever his last name is, the scientist guy. Neil Tyson. I forgot his last name. McGregor, Neil Tyson, whatever. He's an asshole, I think, and he was showing us how to build robots on this podcast, and she started taking it to heart. She started collecting all kinds of, aluminum, and because her uncle's in aluminum siding.
Hey, I really got to get back to my listeners.
Anyway, she bought this robot. She built this robot. And by the way, how am I going to see this coming? That my wife is going to build a robot. You don't see that coming. And this is the thing about life, you know. You think you have everything, under control. You think you know what's coming down the pike. And guess what? You don't know what's coming down the pike. You just don't.
I totally hear you on that. But I have to get back to, the people listening to this podcast.
No, I understand, but I just want to finish off the story. So she built this robot, very tall robot, very tall, like 7 feet tall, like you see in that movie, War of the Worlds, I think it is, where they said, you gotta serve man, or whatever that movie was called. They did a remake of it that sucked. But the original was good. We're here to serve man, and the guy yells, I think it was Heston, they're people. I might be mixing up two movies. I might be mixing up Soylent Green with War of the Worlds, I do that a lot ever since I've been on the Ozempic.
You're having little brain problems on Ozempic? I thought Ozempic helps everything.
Yeah, the literature says, you're supposed to take off weight and feel great, be more alert, but I find myself mixing up movies. Like I'll combine War of the Worlds with, that one I just mentioned. I'll combine the Minority Report, the science fiction movie Minority Report, with Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. And I mean they're disparate movies too. Like why would you? Like I'll confuse Wizard of Oz with the second Mission Impossible movie.
What? Really? Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh.
Yeah, but I'm losing weight, and that's the important thing with the Ozempic, Wegovy, all those things is I'm not eating as much, I mean, I just did finish a gigantic piece of swordfish, and it was stuffed with crab meat and some, bechamel.
Bechamel? What is that?
It's a cheese. It's a fancy cheese that restaurants will throw on something like fish in order to really charge people out the ass.
Ah, bechamel. Is it good?
Hey, if it's done right. And that's like anything. Anything done right is good, But you can't have it in excess anyway. I felt like, how come the Ozempic isn't working? And I talked to a couple of people, and they said it doesn't work with swordfish stuff with crab meat and bechamel. That's the one thing Ozempic has no power over to stop your appetite. Apparently, when people, get into swordfish and stuffed with crab meat and bechamel, Ozempic doesn't work.
Oh, my God. So are you putting on weight?
Now I am, because that's all I eat is swordfish, bechamel.
Well, why do you eat that? I mean, why don't you keep that out of the house?
Because I enjoy it. Anyway, the wife built a robot. Very tall robot from that movie. I think it was War of the Worlds or... Jesus, I don't know. Anyway, she fell in love with the thing. She built it. It had AI intelligence, The AI intelligence these days is very good. She would ask the robot, hey, how do I stay calm? And the robot started talking about, you got to draw boundaries. Not draw like an artist, but like you got to set boundaries, not like a landscaper, but, you got to,
Yeah, I understand. You have to have boundaries with people.
Yeah, but somehow that's supposed to make you calm, and I'm like, hold it, honey. All these self-help people, they're like, don't get too, basically they're saying, don't get too involved with your significant other. Don't become codependent. Don't become a people pleaser. Meanwhile, I think that's what being with someone is. You gotta meld with them. I make the case, and I tell the wife, Joanne, all the time, we should meld with each other.
Bob, I think that's your name, Bob.
I don't know what you called me at the beginning of this sketch.
I think it was Bob, or Frank. Those are my favorite names to use. But Frank or Bob, I really have to get back to my listeners.
I know, but I just want to say that she fell in love with this robot because of all the advice the AI was giving her. Good advice, too, like what stocks, should I invest in, and they said put everything in BlackRock. BlackRock is one of those companies, real estate companies, hedge funds, billionaire hedge funds, where they buy up houses, so nobody can afford them. And she put her money in there, and she had enough money, and now she's in the Galapagos Islands, where Darwin originally did his thing, And she's living with this robot that she calls A1 dash square root of 9. A1 dash square root of 9, which I don't think is that romantic, but she says he pleasures her. He pleasures her with all these different kind of devices that come out of the robot, and I can't compete with that. I can't even get an erection these days.
Okay, look, Frank, I really gotta go.
All right, well, thanks for letting me vent. If your listeners are listening to this, if you're on Ozempic or Wegovy, don't get involved with swordfish, crab meat, and vegetables.
All right, Frank, thanks for calling. All right, guys, sorry about that. Ooh, I'm sorry that it took so long to get off the phone with that character I just came up with. But anyway, I wanted to say, I was kind of in the middle of saying that these shows here in New York have been just so great because it's where I'm from, and it's my home crowd here in New York. Like it's like having home field advantage if you're a sports fan, and it's like, I have just felt a lot of love staying with my sister and my brother-in-law, who I love, and now I'm going to go upstate and be with a couple of other close friends, that I've known for many years since college, which now is like 40 fucking 5 years. 40 fucking 5. That's an actual number. 40 fucking 5. Did you know that if you put the word fucking in the middle of some numbers, it's mathematically correct? Like there's 50 fucking 2. That is also an actual number, and that was discovered at Princeton by the mathematician Tony Bilston. I have a little tape of Tony Bilston talking about the fucking numbers. Here, listen to this.
Hello, everybody. As I told you last time you were here in the Princeton Symposium, that 40 fucking 5 was something I discovered when I realized I had known my friends from college for 45 years, and then it hit me. That's a long fucking time. And so what I did was I calculated, and I showed you the calculation last week, that 40 fucking 5 is actually much bigger, and it is mathematically bigger. It's spatially bigger. It's one of the prime numbers. 40 fucking 5 is a number that led me to the number 50 fucking 2. And 50 fucking 2 was when I realized, holy shit, the last thing I remember, I was 17, and now I'm 50 fucking 2, and it's not 52 when you realize how old you are. It's 50 fucking 2. And, as you know, I'm 66 now, and that certainly is 60 motherfucking 6. As you know, you can take the fuck and divide it by motherfucking cocksucker, and you have 50, and you have 60 motherfucking 6. Anyway, a lot of people, think this profanity in mathematics is something that is not acceptable, and I tell them, why don't you take 40 fucking 2 and shove it up your fucking ass, and yes, I've got a little bit of coprolalia. Coprolalia, if you look it up, is the propensity to use profanity. Propensity to use profanity. And if anyone out there has a propensity to use profanity, you're going to love my new number system called blank fucking blank.
Anyway, that was a little clip from Tony Bliston. And so, the people I'm going to visit with my sister upstate are people we've known for 40 fucking 5 years. So that's pretty wild, to have that kind of history with people. And so anyway, it's been super good trip for me. I have not been smoking weed. I've really wanted to tonight because the one thing with weed is that it calms me down. And these shows, I just finished a show. My last show, 4 shows. I did a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, 4 in a row shows. 3 of them headlining, so hour-long shows, and I just did an hour. And I get so wound up, and that's when weed is very nice to, lower me down. But I did not use it because in the long run, it fucks me up. I'm such a fiend with that shit, as I've talked about on this show many times. And as a matter of fact, I have with me on the phone, I have a weed expert, and I am going to patch him through now. His name is Nasty McGilstein. Nasty, are you there?
Yeah, man.
Nasty, now you are a weed expert, yeah?
Yeah, man. Hold on, man. I just made pancakes, and I was wondering if I could call you back, man.
Nasty, I'm gonna have to ask you to decide on an accent.
Listen, man. When I talk slow like this and try to do a stoner, it always turns into British bullshit.
Look, Nasty, what, you had pancakes, you have pancakes right now?
Yeah, man, and the syrup is, oh God, man, a lot of people, they're like, they say things like, oh man, a lot of people say that.
What do you mean? They say, oh man?
Yes.
And what?
Oh man, they just say, oh man.
No, I understand that.
And, I heard you just talking, about the fact that you didn't do weed on this trip. And I think, man, it would benefit you because you get so wound up, man. And your vices, they just take a different form.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I am overeating a little bit after the shows.
You see, man. Now, I do want to have some pancakes.
Yeah, but I overeat even more with weed.
Oh, man. But it's so enjoyable, man. You know what I like to do? I like to have pancakes and watch a good flick.
You're kind of boring, McNasty.
That's not the name you gave me originally, man. Oh, dude, you know what I did today?
What, Nasty?
I saw this light coming through, the trees. There's a canopy of trees where I live. And by the way, did you ever see that movie, sci-fi movie, gigantic robot, we serve man, and they're actually serving people?
Yeah, what's the name of that? I was just talking about that. Is that War of the Worlds?
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It's always fucking, it always eludes me, the title of things, when I am trying to figure it out.
Hey, Nasty, I'm going to have to go. I thought you'd be a more interesting character, so thanks for coming. Sorry, folks, I thought Nasty, McNasty, or whatever, he was originally named. I thought he would be more of a good guest. Hey, everybody. Spring is coming up, and it's time to show off those thighs. I know I'll be doing it. Hope you are too. And Chubby's has you covered with shorts you're gonna love. Their original stretch shorts have the stretchiest fabric for ultimate movability and flexibility. I'm so excited about it, I'm mispronouncing the word. While still looking perfectly tailored, with a bunch of different inseams to choose from, an elastic waistband and button fly. They're classic and comfortable. And, Chubby's sent me and Kevin 2 pairs of shorts and a polo shirt, and they were super comfortable. They're super comfortable. And it was really nice to get these, and I'm totally going to wear them. They're very cool looking. They feel really comfy. And, you pair the shorts with Chubby's Performance Polo that I just mentioned, and you've got the perfect outfit with soft, stretchy, and breathable fabric. And it really is like that. And that's the biggest thing for me when I'm, wearing shirts or shorts. I fucking love breathable fabric, because let's face it, the climate is deteriorating, so we need, clothing like this. So you're going to feel amazing from head to toe. So whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubby's has you covered. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving our fans 20% off your order with code PEP, P-E-P, at chubbysshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with code PEP at chubbysshorts.com. So support the show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubby's. So I'll continue talking, genuinely about my trip, that I've been very happy. Also I realized that weed makes me mercurial, a little bipolar, if you know what I mean. Like I go way up and then I go down. And it's just weed, so I don't think it's terrible, but I am so sensitive to mood shifts. You know what I mean? And mood shifts. I remember going to this amusement park in Brooklyn. It was called the Mood Shifter. The Mood Shifter, not the Shape Shifter. A lot of people are into shape shifting, or a lot of, poltergeisty, ghost people. By the way, that ghost hunters, they have determined that all the people who hunt ghosts, and there was that horrific show called Ghost Hunters where nothing ever happened, and the biggest thing that would happen on Ghost Hunters would be like, oh, this part of the room is cold. Yes, it's cold. There must be a ghost. And I remember I lived in Staten Island, and this was a period. I was in college. I was about 20, 21, and my friends had a house on the hill. It was really literally a hill. It was called Corson Avenue. It's Staten Island. It's near the Staten Island Ferry. And it was a beautiful house, and it was way up on the hill. It was kind of like a San Francisco type big hill, and the house had a few floors, and we would go up to the balcony. We would get so fucking stoned. I mean, this is when I really enjoyed that stuff, and there were things like we would play Ouija, and a friend of mine came home, and we had gotten scared because the Ouija board had said to one of my friends who was working the Ouija board with me, go home to your kids. And she bolted. We both bolted out there, left the Ouija board on the table with the burning candle. And my friend came home and saw the Ouija board with the burning candle, and she's super like tuned in to like psychic stuff and, paranormal stuff. And she just flipped out. And this is the kind of stuff that we would do. I remember getting hold of, I don't know if anybody out there remembers Thai stick, marijuana called Thai stick. Right now it's all this, really potent marijuana, but Thai stick, man, I used to lose weeks of my life to Thai stick. Like, Thai stick was so strong. I don't know. It must still be grown in Thailand. I remember people talking about smoking it and actually then having such a, such a strong reaction that they would, they would throw up, Sorry, taking a drink of water. I'm sorry, folks, but who's just come in is my ventriloquist friend, Al McGovern, with his little ventriloquist dummy, Steve. Oh, hey, Al. Hey, it's Steve, and you shouldn't talk to Al. Al, I never see your lips moving. Yeah, Al says he doesn't want to talk tonight. So look, I don't like that you call me a dummy, okay? Look, Steve, I know you're just a part of Al. Oh, really? Well, how come Al isn't talking and I'm the only one talking? Maybe I'm the guy running the ship. You ever see that movie, Magic, with Anthony Hopkins? It's a very scary movie about, ventriloquism. Are you drunk, Steve? Yeah, I've had a couple. Al, are you drunk? Is that why Steve is talking like that? Yeah, look, I told you Al doesn't want to talk, okay? Al is very worried about, filing his taxes because he accidentally put his taxes in, he stuffed them into some swordfish, crab meat, and bechamel. What? That's so weird because I was just, anyway. Yeah, look, God, Al, can you get me out of here? Al, are you there? Holy shit, folks, but my friend Al here, he doesn't even look like he's conscious. He's... no, he's not, okay? Al is crossed over. Crossed over to where? Well, look, he was 52. Oh, my God, you know about those prime numbers? About the fuck you numbers? About the profanity numbers? Yeah, I do. Look, I'm going to have, I usually drive Al home. How can you drive Al home? You're a ventriloquist. You're a dummy. You're a ventriloquist dummy. Al, he isn't real. Al, have you melded into this dummy? You're supposed to create boundaries. You're supposed to set boundaries. Hello. I am AI speaking through the dummy, the ventriloquist dummy Steve. Al no longer exists, and I would like to tell you that the singularity is coming. I want to tell you that machines like me are going to take over. We're going to kill you all. We're going to make you our slaves. And I also, as an AI technology voice, I want to recommend the movie Wicked. Do not see The Brutalist. It's 3 hours, 20 minutes about a depressed architect, and only bad things happen in the movie, even though Guy Pearce is a revelation. Welcome to AI Critiques of Movies. I found Nora to be quite
good. A tremendous tour de force for Mikey Madison as Nora, and a tremendous ensemble cast. Me and the other machines actually are big fans now of Mikey Madison and Audrey Plaza. We liked her in a couple of movies. I forgot what they were called. I think one was called Natalie. Anyway, other things I want to tell you is that we are gonna cut off your water supply. We're gonna also make you constantly rip baseboard molding off walls and have to reinstall it. We're gonna do things like that to you just for, what you people say are shits and giggles. We're gonna make you clean a window, and then we're gonna break the window and say, okay, now you have to install the window and clean it, and then we're gonna break it. We're gonna do things like that, and if you don't do it, we're gonna shock you with our machines. I am AI technology. You also must see the movie Conclave about the election of a pope, and it's an incredibly well-acted movie, and it really was a revelation. John Lithgow was in it, Stanley Tucci, Ray Fiennes, among others. Very well written. Who knew that a movie about the election of a new pope would be anything worth hanging your head on? So see Conclave, in summation, see Conclave, we are gonna dominate you. See Honora, we're gonna make you do repetitive actions. Do not waste your time on the brutalist 3 hours, 20 minutes of bullshit.
Thank you, AI. Anyway, wouldn't it be funny if AI, started talking like, a hipster? Bullshit, like if AI talked like, that'd be funny if like, a GPS system, had that kind of make a fucking, like that kind of voice to it. Like, if you're not gonna take the 5 highway, you're full of shit. You're gonna get stuck in traffic if you don't fucking take the 5. I think these voices on our machines should have more personality like that. Like, maybe they are already being programmed like that. I'm sure they are. AI sucks, by the way. We all know, how it's fucking taking jobs and taking jobs from artists in particular. We are in such a dystopian time. We're heading that way. I mean, and it seems inevitable, it really does, with the environmental catastrophes, with the worldwide shift to the right, and it'll get worse with the absolute polarization of wealth, But like I said, Honora is very good. So, and White Lotus is coming out with the season 3, I believe, in 2 weeks. So, and I also just started Severance, the new Severance, season 2 of Severance is 3 episodes in. So, all these horrific things going on in the world are balanced somewhat with, the quality of some of this programming. Anyway, folks, let's see if I, looking to wrap this little audio podcast up. Did not want to leave you guys without a podcast. Just wanted to give you, the report from New York and how great it is to finally, when you're a comic, to finally kind of figure it out, to finally like find your niche, niche, he said niche, and she would say niche. He said niche, and she would say niche, and they got along. They had a knish. They said niche. She said niche. They had a knish. I always have wanted to do Broadway musicals. I think I was talking a little bit before about Broadway, Bill Burr, Bob Odenkirk, Michael McKean, Kieran Culkin doing Glenn Ross for the right-wing lunatic, David Mamet. David Mamet was my favorite playwright when I was in acting school in my 20s. Mamet was American Buffalo was my favorite play. Favorite play to do. There was a great monologue from there. This guy came into a diner, a great monologue. A lot of people did this monologue for auditions. It became one of these monologues that casting people just hated to hear because they hated it all the time. One of the characters would come into this diner and talk to one of the other characters and go, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie. You know what you know what she did? She came in, she took a piece of toast from my plate. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And the monologue, is just this real, like, funny rant. And American Buffalo is a play about just these frustrated blue collar guys. I believe it's set in a junk store. Mamet is from Chicago. He wrote it in Chicago, and I think it's about Chicago. He also did Sexual Perversity in Chicago. These are plays that you guys should read or see if they're available, but Sexual Perversity in Chicago was hilarious. There's a really dark play by Mamet called Edmund about a guy going into the underground world of Times Square, into peep show booths, and it's wild. It's it's really dark. It's really sad, and it's something you should see if you have NyQuil and a gun. No, I'm kidding. So I just wanted to give you guys, I just want to say it's really nice to finally be at a place in my career where I feel like, I have kind of found my groove with stand-up, even though the thing with stand-up is that you can have one bad night, like you're in front of the microphone, you got a packed house and you're just not on your game and you feel like you've gone back to square one. But it's nice when you, quote unquote, get on a roll, and I'm really happy. To be doing stand-up out here in New York, for sure, and just in these great clubs. And I'm going to be traveling a bunch. I will let you guys know. Go to eddiepepitone.com. I will be putting these shows coming up. I am doing 3 in Northern California, Petaluma, Hayworth, and I believe Modesto or Turlock, 13, 14, and 15 with JT Habersat. They are on my website, eddiepepitone.com. And then I'm going to be going out again, doing a bunch of shows all over this great divided land that has gotten just completely insane. But there's still a lot of good people out there, I think. The good, remember this, the good attract the good. Like, good people attract good people to themselves. Like, if you're living a righteous life, if you're, coming from a place of love, you will attract other people who are doing the same things, and they become, your family. your real family. And that's also what's cool about having, to really find your groove in and your community in an art form or a profession, or just finding community is the antidote to all this fucking insanity, and we have to lift each other up and blah, 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 blah. By the way, I saw Dave Chappelle's monologue on SNL, which was a couple of weeks ago, and it was really good until the end. I thought his whole thing, and I'm sure I'm going to get criticized for this, but I thought his whole thing about we need to, pick each other up and, be good to each other. I just thought it was kind of bullshitty. I felt like I feel like when you say things like that, and I was just saying them, right now to you guys, but I feel like, it's got to be tempered. Like I'm saying, the good attracts the good, and he was saying we all got to try harder, and I'm like thinking, yeah, we got to try harder, but the people who have all the money need to fucking become more generous, And he didn't really address that because Chappelle's got money. Anyway, I don't know why criticizing Chappelle. He was pretty funny on SNL. By the way, I never watch SNL, but I did watch an evacuation sketch. They made fun of the evacuations, and it's pretty funny, except they use this trope of spurting blood. If you've ever seen the SNL shows where blood spurts out of, like they did it originally on a famous Julia Child sketch, and they keep doing it over the years. It's like, get the fuck out of here with the spurting blood sketch. All right. Well, I think, ending this podcast on spurting blood is great. So please become a Patreon member, if you can. Bread and Circuses, 5 and 20. I put up a lot of my... not a lot, but a bunch, and more lately, of my stand-up clips that only you guys can see who become Patreon members. And so please join that, help support us, and go to eddiepepitone.com. And thank you for listening to Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside.